Hi, I'm Candice. Welcome to part 2 of the pack and chat from my trip. All the orders that were placed on my vacation are being packed right now to send off to all my customers to find all the products to their new home. So I'm so excited to do the second part. We packed up all these orders in the part 1 and talked about my trip to Montana. I was gone for almost 3 weeks and some of the things that we did along on that trip. So let's get started with getting this box prepared for a larger order. And if you're curious about the trip I went on to Montana, go back to part 1 and watch that there. And I'm going to be moving on to talk about some of the upcoming things happening with Titus 2 Tallow, which is my tallow-based bath and body brand. So I started Titus 2 Tallow a little over a year ago. I launched with a Mother's Day collection and just sold Mother's Day gift sets. And after I did that collection, I then went and decided I'm going to go ahead with this business. And I had learned how to do stuff with a website, like how to run a Shopify store through my other skincare brand named Celery. That brand I am currently reformulating, and there's a lot of reasons why behind I'm reformulating that. Most of it has to do with the fact that the formulations I made for that brand were very, very complex, used a ton of ingredients, the inventory in order to track all those ingredients and to order them, and sometimes these ingredients, they would no longer be offered or available from any supplier around me. And being a very small brand, I cannot go to the manufacturer of certain ingredients, and because the minimum order quantity is just so enormous for the amount I would need. Especially these were specific actives that you use just a very small amount of, and it did not make sense to buy 2 kilos of an ingredient you are only going to use maybe an ounce in an entire year. So all these logistics, it raised the cost of making my products. It took a ton of time, and there were some other things that happened as well, but let's leave that there. We'll talk more in depth about Celery another time, and let's talk more about Titus 2 Tallow. So Titus 2 Tallow came about after I had been praying for quite a while just to ask God what direction I should go with Celery, and if what I should do with that. And I had been reading the Bible very regularly and searching God's Word. And then one day I think it was last February, God answered my prayer just in that moment in that day, and I just had this huge download of information of what exactly I should do, that I should create this tallow-based bath and body product company, and the meaning behind it all. Like, I was, during that day, and this happened just all in one day, I was praying about what the name should be, what is my target customer, and just everything about this brand. And it was just all the answers are being given to me. And the whole premise behind Titus 2 Tallow is Titus 2. And it's about motherhood and being a wife, and that role and position that God has given us as women, as wives and mothers, and just how amazing and precious that is. And as you become an older woman, encouraging the younger generation to do that as well. All right, let's start packing this order, getting this order together. This customer is from California, and it's actually my brother. So thank you, my brother Marcus, for placing this order for you and your family. We have a toasted oak and toffee soap, a tallow and tansy facial set, which comes with the tallow and tansy facial soap, and that comes with a cleansing cushion, which is a konjac sponge. It's really big and it makes for a really nice application of washing your face. And then the Radiance Tallow and Tansy Radiance Serum and the Whipped Tallow and Tansy Balm. And this has bakuchiol in it, which is really great for resurfacing, for acne, for mature and aging skin, and is very soothing with the blue tansy, which is in the whole entire set here. And then the Radiant Serum has niacinamide and acetylglucosamine and some other extracts to really help with bringing out the radiance in the skin. And 2 foaming hand soaps, the Lavender Lemon and Blossoms and Blessings foaming hand soaps. I love these so much. I'm so glad I decided to make them. They work so good with just getting the correct amount for washing your hands, and that's so good when you have children and they just get out the correct amount without overdoing it. And then it's already foamed up, so it's really easy to wash the hands of children and your hands. And I also use it a lot for washing my youngest daughter and just using that as her cleanser or soap when she's taking a bath. It's very easy to use that way. And then they got a pure whipped body butter, which is great for children, and it's unscented, unfragranced, and this is good for your face and your whole body. And then the whipped tallow and honey balm, and they actually got quite a bit of this. They got a large jar and then 3 small jars. Then of course I'm going to add the eye cream. So if you haven't watched the part 1, I'm including a brand new product in every single order because I was gone for almost 3 weeks. So some of these customers have waited 3 weeks for their order just to get shipped out. And just as a thank you for their patience, I'm including this new product that I had just made. It's the Whipped Tallow and Coffee Eye Cream. And this, it has a base of beef tallow, of course, and with squalane and castor oil as carrier oils. And then the tallow has been infused with coffee and then some calming herbs. And this also includes a advanced peptide active that really helps to firm the skin around your eyes and just helps with smoothness and the issues that we have around our eyes as we age. So along with that, I'm going to include a couple samples here. I'll include the oat milk and honey soap sample, and then I'll include a body lotion. Let's go with the mixed berry crumble. This is one of my favorite scents. I think they're actually all my favorite scents, but we'll go with that. Okay, first we're gonna start off with our box here. Put tissue paper in this paper bubble paper. And I like to put these foaming hand soaps in 2 bags because I don't know what happens during shipping, but crazy stuff happens. And if this happens to leak, I don't want it to leak over everything. So I'm going to set these in here. I might rearrange things as I go. We'll see. And then the glass jars I like to wrap up into this honeycomb paper to the side here. Okay, so I'm going to start with wrapping these up and putting them in here. So everything regarding Titus Tallow just all, like I said, just came to me. I started brainstorming what products I'd offer and what scents I would offer, and just everything came to me all in that one day. It was just so invigorating and motivating and amazing and very exciting. I felt like God had given me blessings over this brand. That gave me a lot of confidence and just so much faith that God was behind this, and that meant so much to me. So before I started skincare brands, the reason I started a skincare brand to begin with is I have a older daughter. She is an adult. She's 22 now, and she was born with a very rare skin condition called epidermolysis bullosa. I was 23 years old when I had her, and I was going to chiropractic school to become a chiropractor, and I was just about to start my very last year in chiropractic school when she was born. And it was a big shock. I think I was in shock for quite a while about everything, and it took a really long time for things to make sense and make things feel real again after having such a large shock. Actually, didn't realize I was going to get into this today. When she was born, she's missing skin from some areas of her body, and that really obviously alarmed the medical staff at the hospital she was born at. And I didn't get to hold her right after she was born, and she was kind of whisked away, and they were trying to figure out what specialist to send her to find out what she had, because obviously this wasn't normal. Her missing like big swaths of just the outer layer of skin. So she was transferred to a children's hospital, and their suspicion of what it might be came to be true, that it's a genetic skin disease called epidermolysis bullosa. And that is when your genetics don't code for the collagen gene correctly, and it doesn't make that protein correctly, that collagen. And the collagen that she does not make correctly is what attaches the skin layers together. So it's like that Velcro that between the skin layers. So she's missing quite a bit, and the protein that is there is very weak and fragile. So that causes the skin to shear apart and cause massive wounds to that outer layer openings, causes blistering, like huge blisters, because when an area fills with fluid, that pressure just continues to make the skin detach more and more and more. It's hard to think about somebody dealing with that. It's hard to imagine a newborn baby dealing with that, somebody having that for their entire life, and how to deal with that as a parent. So that was all a huge shock for me to figure everything out. I had been living in Kansas City at that time, and I ended up moving back home to California to have the support of my family in order for me to finish school at a local chiropractic college, because I only had 1 year left. And that was the only way that I could see at the time, being able to have some kind of living, making a living, and having a child that had a lot of special needs and attention. I was previously married. The marriage did not last long after my daughter was born, let's just say that. And it also didn't start in a way that honored God, I'll say. He was not the center of my life at the time, unfortunately, and where he is now. And I think that makes such a huge difference as far as the decisions that you make in life, and making sure that they're the right ones, and having God involved in those big decisions in your life. Okay, we're having a deep conversation here. Okay, this order is now packed up. I'm gonna just put shred over the top so that way everything stays in place. So anyway, that's kind of the reason that I got into skincare, because she had a skin condition, a very severe skin condition, and that caused scarring and needed a lot of wound healing. Me trying to figure out different ways to care for her skin. So when she was born, there was very little care that could be offered to children that were suffering from EB. So that's what we call it for short. It's known as EB. And so a lot of it was, wound care dressings, changing wound care, but that's about it. So I really looked into herbs and ointments and all kinds of treatments that could be done to help her skin, to help with infections, to help with healing and scarring and pain relief, all these things. So that's what started my whole skincare interest journey. I made so many different types of products over the time, years and years and years. So out of that interest, later on, I felt compelled to take online formulation classes for skincare because it was becoming something I wanted to create, a skincare brand. And I just wanted to make sure that what I was making was being done correctly. And if there was anything additional I needed to know, I would get that information. I took a few different courses through Formula Botanica and got the education that I felt that made me confident in starting a skincare brand and doing it well and formulating. And it taught me how to formulate all kinds of different products and different suppliers and just all the things I needed to know. And during that whole entire time, I was still seeing patients. If you don't know, we live on a fairly large property in rural California, and I think some people might not even know that exists, especially in Southern California, but it definitely does. So me and my husband were sharing a smaller office space together, and half of it was his and half of it was mine. And I have my chiropractic business through there, where my patients came and saw me there. So me and my husband we had 3 children back to back. And so my children were really young when we had the office right over here. So it was really nice to be able to work from home and see patients. I never got very busy being a chiropractor, so I was able to juggle being a mom and working very well, even when my children were very young. And then it kind of happened like all together, and as God's timing always, isn't it? He just prepares you and guides you, and he's just so good. I wanted more and more to just have my focus be on my children and to homeschool them. And so they were getting to that age where I was starting to homeschool them, and that was taking, a lot of my time. All right, this next order is going to Nevada, and it is a whipped tallow and tansy balm. One of my favorite skincare products to use every morning on my face and every night. I use a small little bit along with the 5C serum, and I love both of them together so much. And I also include a pump of the aloe and oat moisturizer, and I mix it all together after warming just a little bit of each one of these balms in the palm of my hand, and mixing that together and applying it all together, and it just feels so good. And I'll say too that I used that the entire time I was in Montana, and my skin loved it so much. If you have these balms, try them, mix together, just warm just a very small amount, apply it to damp skin, and it feels so good. And they work so good under makeup too. Maybe not silicone-based makeup, but like cream-based, definitely they work good. And then we got the eye cream, and then I'll get a sample. So I got to the point where a lot of my time was being focused in home. I wanted to, like, that's always been my priority, is my children in my home. It kind of came to a head where I felt like my patients were maybe starting to feel neglected. I'm definitely not going to blame it on them or anything, but I felt a responsibility. I wasn't able to give what, the time they needed, and because my office hours were, they just got smaller and smaller and smaller. After COVID happened, I was seeing less and less patients. And then it just got to a point where something needed to give, because I was going to be starting homeschooling more of my children. More of my children were reaching that homeschooling age. And I was wanting to launch my first brand, Celery. And I didn't know how much time that was going to take to be actively involved in that. So just something had to give, and I decided that I would put my chiropractic practice on pause, and I let my patients know that. And it was really hard because a lot of my patients had become really close and some of my greatest friends, and it was really hard to do, but I felt a lot of encouragement, and I just knew that it was the right thing to do. And stepping away from my chiropractic practice and putting that time and effort back into my family, into homeschooling and being a housewife, and then also spending the limited amount of time, free time I had dedicated to the skincare brand. It just felt right. And I just got like confirmation over and over that I was making the right choice and right decision. And I'll go in a little bit about the start of launching Celery and what happened, because I could think that kind of plays into what happened with it in its first year plus. It was just a month or two after I had launched my skincare brand, Celery, that I found out I was having another baby. And I was pretty shocked, because being in your early 40s, you don't expect it very much. But here I was, just launched a brand, and I was wondering why there's all this buildup and momentum and excitement about starting to launch a brand. And then once it happened, like there was no motivation anymore. I felt like it fizzled out. Like right when I launched the brand, that motivation had fizzled away. And I knew that's the opposite of what needed to happen after you launch a brand, is to feel like disconnected and like not motivated anymore, where it took years for me to get there. It took 7 years for me to launch my brand from when I first started taking formulation classes. 7 years of just excitement and gung-ho and all this, working with a branding agency and just designing everything from the ground up, all these formulas, everything. And then once it launches, I just lost my interest in it. Okay, this next order is going to California and includes a lot of foaming hand soaps, a couple of my wax melts, and a lavender and lemon soap. I think this is supposed to be, here's the right, so it's a lavender matcha latte soap. Sometimes I have to double check on what I grabbed. All right, I need to get this box together. So come to find out later, realizing that I was pregnant, it totally made a lot more sense to me as why I felt complete lack of motivation regarding my brand and a complete disconnect. And it had a lot to do with just being pregnant. My energy levels were super low, and A lot of times when I'm pregnant, I need to take naps during the day. I just have low energy. And a lot of it has to do with, I have iron deficiency, and it just really shows up when I'm pregnant and causes a lot of symptoms. So anyways, long story short, I had a really hard time from the beginning with celery. That was a huge frustration for me. And I didn't feel like a failure. I just felt tired. I knew eventually my energy level would come back, and it was fine for me that I was having a slow start with celery because I didn't have the energy to give to it anyways. If it had been, if it had been super successful from the get-go. Like I've seen some of the formulators that I've gone to school with at Formula Botanica, some of their businesses just really took off from the beginning. But I was totally fine with mine not doing that. Okay, let's get all these put in these bags. We have the pure, so that's unscented or unfragranced. The blossoms and blessings, lavender lemon, picking wildflowers. That's my essential oil blend for right now. This is the lavender lemon. I use a lavender essential oil with this, but it does have a lemon fragrance oil. And then a walk in the garden and an ironstone and amber. This was the scent for my Father's Day collection. So it's really nice. It's really warm, and I just love the smell so much. So I might do that scent again. I don't know, for next year. It's so good. So once after my daughter was born, and I had my postpartum time of just kind of taking things easy. During that time, I was doing a lot of learning of how to do Facebook ads, Google ads, getting everything in place and working together, and all these parts and pieces of social media and e-commerce strategies of how to get things going, because I wanted celery to be successful once I was past that postpartum time and I had more energy to devote to the business, because when you have newborns, it's exhausting. Oh shoot. Okay, I'm putting this back in here and taking the products out because I forgot. I really like to put the tissue paper in there, and sometimes I forget when I didn't even finish doing this. This is what happens when you talk to two things at once. Okay, let's do this again. All right, let's try this again. I have my tissue paper in here now, and actually I'm going to be putting a little bit of this shred on the bottom just for a little added protection for the during shipping for all these foaming hand soaps. And there we go. So I really used a lot of my downtime while I was nursing and caring for my daughter while she was a newborn, learning e-commerce better. And because I was really wanting for celery to be successful, I had spent so much time and energy on it. I wanted it to be successful. So when my daughter was 3 or 4 months old, I started implementing all these strategies I was learning. So I spent about 4 months really putting all that strategy in place and not seeing very much for the amount I was putting into it. I wasn't getting it out. All right, this next order is going to Texas, and they ordered a Blossoms and Blessings solid dish soap. So with that, again, I'm going to be including a coffee eye cream. So after I had just this download of information and really focusing now on Titus 2 tallow, I kind of just let celery go for the time being, and just was kind of trying to get get answers on what to do with that business, but my focus and energy was continually on my children, my family, my husband, my home, and also this business, and how to make sure my brand is continually focused on encouraging the household and women and the mothers, and giving products to that make the little ordinary parts of the day, like washing hands before a meal, or washing the dishes, moisturizing skin, using a balm to calm and soothe irritated scrapes and scratches and burns and those types of things. Making those ordinary moments more joyful, and giving those products, making products for those ordinary moments, just showing the beauty of being a mother and the role of being a mother. And that's what I love so much about this brand. I love making products for it. I love the seasonal products that I offer, and just it's such a creative outlet for me. All right, this next order is going to Texas, and they ordered 2 of my Christmas Eve cookies with body butter. And this is in my old body butter packaging. I changed to the white jars, which I'll be using for a while. I have a lot of them, so I need to get through them, and I might change after that. Then a Merry Cranberry with body butter. These are seasonal releases from last Christmas. They're still really good. They'll last for quite a while longer. And then the whipped tallow and coffee cream, of course, and the aloe and oat facial soap, and a country clementine soap sample. Now I'm going to use this white box, which is my medium size box. And I'm going to get these all wrapped up in the honeycomb paper. So when I was talking about doing all those e-commerce classes and learning how to do all these things, those things just came in handy when starting Titus 2 Tallow, and having learned how to deal with my website, because that was made for me with celery. It was designed by a web designer, and I when I was kind of given over my web page, I didn't understand a single thing about it. I didn't even know questions to ask in order to find the answers. That's how clueless I was about just websites and everything having to do with them. But I had learned, so it came in handy with being able to build and develop my website pretty fast. And I had already learned how to use email marketing with Klaviyo, and how to use Canva in a lot of different ways for a lot of label designs, using it for graphics design, those types of things. I had all the tools in place already, and in order to get this brand up and ready really quick. And so when I had that download of information back in February, and I just felt like I was just completely having faith in God's design and not questioning anything at all, and just going gung-ho for it. And when I had talked earlier about thinking of all these ideas and everything I just started implementing them, putting everything in place, and not being worried whether or not everything was perfect. Not my packaging was perfect, my formulas were absolutely perfect, my labels were absolutely perfect. I just had faith in God and just started. And I had different labeling for my soaps and all that kind of stuff, and it's just developed over time, and I'm sure it'll continue to develop. I don't know what my packaging is going to look like in a year, but it probably will not look like what it does now, and I'm totally okay with that. All this e-commerce marketing information I had learned, I implemented, and with email marketing, social media, just everything. And where it was such a struggle with celery, and I spent a lot of money and without seeing a return at all. And this time I was spending much less money and seeing a much better return. And it was like things were finally clicking and working like they were supposed to. Like I was, taught, like, these are the things that you look out for, like, and everything was just falling into place exactly how it was supposed to go. And I was expecting it to go, but it hadn't with celery. So that was just total confirmation over and over and over again that what I was doing was the right thing to do, and it was working. And I was so thrilled because it feels good to have something that you've created that feels successful. So there's a lot that I have in the works for Titus 2 Tallow. There's new products I want to make, other things I want to offer. It just takes time. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you learned a lot about the background and insight into my brand, Titus 2 Tallow, and where my heart is regarding that, and that is to serve and be obedient to God, and just loving being a mother and being able to encourage and other mothers, and that is what Titus 2 in the Bible is about. If you stuck with me to the very end, please put a cow emoji in the comment section. Ask me any questions that you're curious about, and please give this a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you can see more videos behind the scenes of a small business and studio vlogs, and that's really what I'm loving to do right now. So thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.